What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another NFL 2025 preview. Um, we've been doing these things for a while now, so hit that like, hit that subscribe. Today, we getting into the NFC North. Lions, Vikings, Packers, Bears. Oh my. We're going to get into all those teams. So hit that like and subscribe, and we'll be right back right after the intro. Let's get it.
Righty K, the Raisin Man.
All right. Let's start it off here with the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions last year, y'all already know, got eliminated by the Washington Commanders in that playoff game. Now, the Lions, everybody's high on the Lions, but they did lose two coordinators. Remember, Aaron Glenn, gone. Ben Johnson, gone. So it's on those two men right there on your screen. Dan Campbell and Jared Goff to keep this team rolling. Last year, 15-2. Who knew the Lions could be so good? 15-2 for the Lions last year. MGM got them in at 10.5. 10.5. So slight dip, but never mind that. Do got a tough schedule though. Third toughest schedule in the league. But I want to talk about last year before we move into the future. That's how we doing this show. So I'm gonna turn it over to my bros, Coach Ed Gladney from Coach Ed's Amazing World of Sports and Big Pat Sports Talk. My NFL aficionados, tell me what you guys think or thought about the Lions season last year and how they are looking to rebound from, I guess, a little bit of a disappointment. I mean, a lot of people were expecting them to go to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl favorites should at least made the NFC Championship game, but Washington Commanders caught you slipping and put you out. So it's going to be interesting to see. This is really an intriguing year for the Lions. Coming in as the hunted, so to speak. Ain't nobody going to take it light on the so-called lowly Lions anymore. No, they not that no more. They are perennial NFC favorites, Super Bowl favorites. But my brothers, Pat, Coach, talk to me. What are you guys' thoughts on what happened with the Lions last year, and what do you think they need to do moving forward into this year to get back to that point or get past that point and hopefully finally get to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl? Talk to me.
Well, the Lions last year, man, they did go 15-2 in the regular season. They had a little bit of a letdown in the playoffs against the rookie sensation Jaden Daniels over there in the NFC East. They have some good teams over there, but The Lions last year, man, they were pretty much dominant when they had their run game going. When they didn't have to depend on Jared Goff going out there and making huge plays for him, and he was able to control the game, that's when the Lions are their most dangerous. Now, can that offensive line perform the same way that they did last year? Can Sonic and Knuckles, as my man Shakes called them, Montgomery and Gibbs, keep that running game going the way they did last year? Because when they get that running game going, there's another man that gets going. That's Amon-Ra St. Brown. He gets going. And if they got all that going, their offense looks pretty much unstoppable. The only thing that stopped them last year was their defense. Their defense down the stretch had a bunch of injuries. When Aiden Hutchinson got hurt, their defensive tackles got hurt. A couple of the DBs got hurt, and it really hurt their Super Bowl chances last year. But Detroit, they're gonna be rocking again this year, man, because ain't nothing changed but some coordinators. And Dan Campbell was still there. The head man is still there. So I think the Lions are going to do well again this year. Will they get 15 wins? I doubt it. That's hard to do consecutive years, but they're still going to be a very formidable team. But, Coach, talk to them, man. What did they do last season that made them get those 15 wins, man? Tell them.
Well, Pat, you make some great points in terms of the Lions overall in their breakdown. When we take a look at the points, the points for 564, they were first in the league. Points against 342, which was seventh in the league. Their SRS was 13.7, which is first in the league, and the strength of schedule was 0.71. Now, the total team points, again, was at 564. Total yards was 6,962, and their per average play was 6.2. So, that's very efficient there. Passing, they completed 399 passes in 551 attempts, 4,474 yards, passing yards, 39 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Rushing, they attempted 534 yards rushing attempts, 244 yards, 29 rushing touchdowns, and an average of 4.7 yards per carry. Now, the league ranks the points, they were number one. Passing yards, they were number 2. Passing touchdowns were number 4. Passing interceptions were 16. Rush yards were 6. Rushing touchdowns were second. So you see how efficient that offense was. Defensively, point scores, they were 7th. Total yards, they were 20th. Pass yards, they were 30th. Pass touchdowns, though, were number 2. Pass interceptions were number 5. Rush yards were number 5. And rushing touchdowns were number 18. So that speaks to how efficient the defense was. When you get into the red zone, they're not giving up a lot of touchdowns, but you can move the ball into scoring positions. So that's where teams will try and capitalize. Now, player who, to me, was most impactful, here it is, Jahmyr Gibbs. Played in 17 games, but started only 4. Rushing, had 244 yards. Attempts, 250 attempts. Yards was 1,412. Touchdowns, 17, and he averaged 5.6 yards per carry. Receiving, he had 63 targets, 52 receptions, 517 yards, 4 touchdowns, averaged 9.9 yards per reception. Total scrimmage, 302 touches for 929 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6.4 average per touch, and for touchdowns, 15.1. So that speaks about how dynamic a player he is. And now, if you want to know about the player that's coming in, that's going to be the most impactful, I said it's DJ Reed. In his career, 101 games played, 70 started, 6 interceptions, 51 pass defense, 4 forced fumbles, 4 recoveries, 2 sacks, total tackles, 414 tackles, 32 solo, 326 solo, 88 assisted, tackles for losses are at 12. He's an adept at playing in the man or in the zone. He's a physical, in-your-face cornerback. He's having played both in the slot and the outside. He isn't afraid of playing in run defense. He loves to hit, So offensive players, he loves to hit offensive players and is a steady tackler. He's smallish on the side and will have him bouncing off bigger offensive players. In the pass coverage, he does well playing the receivers, hips on the release. He does get grabby when beat by receivers or is unable to properly control the receivers going down the field. So, he's going to be the most impactful for these Lions going into next year. So that's what I have for you. Sending it back to my brothers.
Yeah. The Lions do got some things to work on. But they do have that man Dan Campbell. They do have Jared Goff, but let's see what they don't have. Let's see who they lost. Let's take a look at some of the key losses here as we get into it. Teddy Bridgewater. I thought he was on that team last year. Anyway, here's where I'm looking at, fellas. Coach, I'm with you because the offensive line is such a key component to this Lions team. It's the most important component to this team because of how they play with that running game and with a non-mobile quarterback. Frank Ragnow retiring, the man on the screen right there. Kevin Zeitler going to the Lions. Yeah, they did lose some pieces on the offensive line. Now, this something to talk about a little bit here. Zadarius Smith, he's out of there. Allen Robinson is out of there too, as well. And they lost a bunch of corners. But who stands out to you guys? Man? Talk to me.
All right. The one that stands out to me, man, shout out to Coach. He always talking about the big uglies, the sexy fatties, whatever you want to call them. Frank Ragnow, man, retiring from that offensive line. He was a leader of that offensive line at the center position. And they have to fill that center position this year. That's the guy that makes out the calls. He's the one that calls out blitzes. He's the one that makes, Jared Goff's life a lot easier. And he was a great puller when it came to the run game for the Detroit Lions. And in order to get that man that coach was talking about, Jamari Gibbs, to get those 5.6 yards per carry and 15.1 yards per touchdown, 17 touchdowns last year. Gibbs was doing his thing. But Frank Ragnow, man, I do believe this is one of the key losses. Shout out to him. I think he might have a chance of getting that gold jacket going in there, man. Ragnow was a beast. But that's my key loss, man. Coach, what do you think is a key loss for the Lions going into this year?
Well, my key is actually going to be Kevin Zeitler. It definitely is, continuing on that offensive line. He's another veteran as a former New York Giant. We know what he can do as an offensive lineman. He's steady. The impact that, he has partnering up with Ragnow, because that's another factor. You have two guys that play together and they know each other and they know how to work combinations, working down to the second level. So that hurts that offense. And you saw it, they had the number one offense last year. So when you lose the offensive lineman, especially in the interior, I talked about Ragnow, possible gold jacket. Zeitler, well, I'm not saying he's a gold jacket. He's a steady influence. He's a steady player on that offensive line. He's a veteran, so, that's, the key is going to be what did the Lions do to shore up the interior of the offensive line? Because that also, when you have a quarterback who's not that mobile, teams are going to push the pocket right into his face, so, that's going to be a big factor going forward. So back to you, NYG.
Yeah, let's take a look at what they added, because again, losing the offensive line pieces that they lost and losing two coordinators, I don't think that's something you can sneeze at. Now, we're going to get into the Vikings, the Bears, and the Packers a little bit later, but they're coming for you. They're coming for you, Detroit. So let's see what they did in the offseason. We're gonna start with the free agents here and the signings. One that stands out to me, man, is the man right there on your screen, man. That's Mr. DJ Reed. DJ Reed coming over from the Jets. You see they lost 4 cornerbacks, so they definitely need to get stronger there. As Coach mentioned, they gave up a ton of yards. I think they were 30th in pass yards, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, he's going to help. He is definitely going to help. You know, they re-signed Marcus Davenport. You got a couple other corners in there that they signed. Avonte Maddox, Kirby Joseph. Big deal for Kirby Joseph there. 4-year, $86 million extension. So he's locked in there for the Lions for the long term. But who stands out to you guys as far as the key additions are concerned?
Yeah, I think we all in lockstep, man. That man, DJ Reed, this is my guy, man, that comes in for the Detroit Lions to shore up that secondary, man, to stop them giving up those big, huge plays that cost them in that Washington game in the playoffs, man. Losing that game at home, man, Lions fans were horribly sad after that loss. But DJ Reed, you know, with Kirby Joseph out there, Rock Ya-Sin, you know, the veteran coming in, man, they can actually lock up some people. And if Aiden Hutchinson is healthy and they get that pass rush back to where they were going, with the addition of Derek Barnes at the linebacker position, who was underrated, I think this Lions defense can change it around. If they could play defense and play the way they play on offense, woo! It's gonna be a problem out there in Detroit, man. Detroit ain't been this good since back when Barry Sanders was doing this thing. But hey, Coach, I got DJ Reed as my key addition. What you think, Coach?
Yeah, I know we're all lockstep. You know, you already saw what I said about DJ Reed. You know, adding, you know, Rock Ya-Sin is a good point. You know, definitely got to fix that defense, shore it up. But, you know, I talked about the offensive line. You know, number one, keeping Dan Skipper. You know, he's a little versatile. While he's not one of the elite, I think he fits what they're trying to do. Don't forget, he's also their tight end. You know, so they're big body tight end in big situations. So, you know, keeping him, he knows what's going on. Can he slide in, you know, as a possible starter? We'll see when we look at the depth chart. But, you know, right there, I think that's a good keeping force right there in terms of having Dan Skipper stay with the team, knows the system. So, and you know what? You can move him inside. Can he help protect your quarterback? So that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's it, man. The Lions had to get better on the back end. I mean, I was really one of their glaring weaknesses. They also lost, as you guys mentioned, they lost Aiden Hutchinson, so that hurt them as well, which, you know, got the back end exposed, man. I think they gave up 45 in that playoff game with Jaden Daniels and company. So let's see if they can make some improvements in the draft as well, as we take a look at their draft picks. The Lions are a team, I mean, at this point, you know, they pretty solid all the way across the board. We're going to look at the roster, but I love this draft, especially the first 3 picks right there. The first 4 picks, really, Tyleik Williams, Tate Ratledge, the guy on the screen right there. That's my man's Tate Ratledge, man. I think he's going to be big for the Lions on this offensive line. Also picking up Miles Frazier, another underrated offensive lineman from LSU. Safety Dan Jackson out of Georgia. Think he could be pretty good. Defensive tackle, that first round pick, number 28, Tyleik Williams. He was definitely on my list as you know, top 5 defensive fits for the Giants, my team, if you guys looked at my channel. But yeah, man, y'all know we love the draft. College football is upon us. Let's talk about these draft picks, man. Who is one of you guys' favorite picks. When you take a look at this list, I didn't even talk about Isaac from the wide receiver from Arkansas. I think he's pretty good too. Okay.
Well, I am, and that's one of the top draft picks that I think that they're gonna have. And he showed it already for the Lions in their first preseason game. Isaac Tesla, man, he's gonna make some big plays for this team. He's long, he's rangy, he can run good routes, catch radius. I think this guy is gonna have a Puka Nacua vibe to this team to add with St. Brown. Man, this guy's gonna have an outstanding season. Coach, I know you love the big uglies, and they had some big sexy fatties in those first 3 to 4 picks, but this guy right here, he's gonna keep that offensive rolling. He's gonna give a target for Jared Goff to where he is inaccurate. He normally throws it high, and this guy could go up there and get that ball for him. Check out them on that preseason game. Hey, Big Pat Sports Talk was on the call as well, and he made some big plays in that game, showing you why I picked this guy as their top key addition in the draft, besides the sexy fatties. But Coach, don't get on to me too hard, man. Talk about your guy.
You know what, Tesla? Yes, when I watched a little bit of the game, I said he did stand out to me. So, I agree with you totally. But of course, number 1, number 2, and and the 4 pick, the sexy fatties. I talked about it earlier. What do they do to shore up the inside? Tate Ratledge and Miles Frazier, young, developing, experienced guys, played at high level in college football, so they're not afraid of the limelight. Tariq Williams, another one playing at the Ohio State, winning a championship. He knows what it takes to be disruptive as an inside force, playing in the Big Ten, whether the teams will run at you or, getting after them in the pass game. So, those are the ones to me that stand out the most. They fit my mold in terms of the sexy fatties, and they're going to bring it every play. When that ball is snapped, it's going to be a war, and they're going to be in there fighting in those trenches. So those are the ones that I think will have the most impact coming out of this rookie class. So, but back to my brother NYG.
Speaking of the trenches, we got to look at the Lions trenches, and we got to look at this depth chart here and break it down. Let's put this team on the scope. Let's put this team on the scope because y'all know how we do. Let me talk about this, though, for a minute before I turn it over to Pat and Coach. The Lions, a lot of this, I know this team is really loaded. I'm not even going to get into that. I'm just going to let y'all get into that there. I just want to talk about this for a second. This Lions team, it all is on, a lot of this is on Jared Goff. And I'm going to tell you why. Because this team has depth. This team has a solid offensive line. This team has a solid defensive line. They got pieces in the secondary. They got pieces of a solid linebacker group. The running backs, Sonic and Knuckles. The receivers, Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of my favorite receivers in the league. He wins me fantasy leagues every damn season, damn near. A lot of this is on those guys, man. I'm sorry. Jared Goff gets hurt. You bringing in Hendon Hooker. Woo. Woogly moogly. I don't know if that's going to turn out. I mean, I'm sure Hendon can probably hand the ball off, but yeah, at some point you're going to have to throw. But y'all know how we do. Coach, you talk about, I want Coach to talk about the offense and the offensive line and the sexy fatties. Pat, go on defense. Talk about them edge rushes, man, that the Lions got over there. Let's get it.
All right. Well, in terms of the offense, you look at that wide receiving core, and that's nothing to sleep on, man. That's going to cause havoc in terms of defensive coordinators. What do you do to really give good coverage. With Jameson Williams, Amon St. Brown, Tim Patrick, Tesla. We just talked about him. Khalif Raymond is no one that you could sleep on. He's a little, scat, type of a receiver that can cause a lot of problems. And then when you look at the offensive line, Decker, solid. Christian Mahogany, man, that's a beast. That's a beast, young guy. They got Tate Ratledge at center. Think about that. They got him at center. Graham Glasnow, good. Panay Sewell, that offensive line right now, they did a good job of shoring up losing two guys. Ratledge can fill the role. NYG, you just talked about it in terms of the running game. Their tight end in Laporta, you said it best. This is going to fall on Jared Goff, because him to Hooker, two different type of quarterbacks in a sense. Hooker's a lot more mobile, so he can give if he came in, but is he the passer? Might have a better arm, still young, still developing, but Jared Goff is going to fall on him. You have the running game. That offensive line is going to open up those alleys for Gibbs to attack, for Montgomery to attack, to be explosive, to get good play action, and give Goff time to turn around and get the football down the field to the playmaker. So, when you sit here and you look at this offense, you said it best, NYG, they're stacked. They really are. So, very impressive. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do. Shout out to my family up there in Detroit. Y'all talk to me about it all the time. So, you know what? We're going to see this year. We're going to see. Hopefully, you guys will be smiling brightly, except if y'all face my squad. So, but over to you, Pat. Talk about that defense over there, man.
Hey, man, you always throw some curveballs out there, NYG. Normally, I talk about the offense, but you let Coach get it shine on with the sexy fatties, man. The sexy fatties over there.
I had to, because they got a hell of a line over there.
Man, they got a hell of an offensive line over there with the Detroit Lions. But, man, we're going to talk about, I do believe is going to be the key to this team in the playoffs. Not the regular season, but the playoffs, and that's this defense, man. And we're going to talk about some more sexy fatties, man. This defensive line could be absolutely monstrous, man. You got Aiden Hutchinson, DJ Reader, Aleem McNeil, Marcus Davenport. That is a defensive line for your ass out there, because if they could get after the quarterback, they got the back end handled now, man. With Terry Arnold, it's coming up from Alabama doing his thing. You got Kirby Joseph getting his contract, DJ Reed coming over, and I think that makes them a very formidable team with Anik Robertson in the slot, and he is pesky and he's an opportunist, so he could get those turnovers for those guys while DJ Reed and Terry Arnold handle the outside. Then you got Derek Barnes and Jack Campbell and Alex Anzalone at linebacker. This team is stacked. Like, man, I didn't even know they was this stacked, man. This team is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then you got a coach like Dan Campbell who's going to get the best out of his players, or you going to get the F off the team? With that culture that's built in there, with that amount of talent, you ain't got no choice but to be good. So, yeah, man, this roster, they are stacked on defense and offense when you look at it. It's all about discipline. What are you going to do when you go into the season? Are you going to have holding penalties that give teams first downs on defense? Are you going to jump off sides because you're so eager to get after the quarterback? Are you going to miss tackles the way they were during the stretch of last season? That's the only thing that's going to hurt this team, because this offense, as long as that offensive line holds up, I don't see you holding this team under 3 touchdowns at the very least. I think they score at least 24 to 28 points every game this year. And that's going to be tough to beat those guys, because you're going to have to put up 30 points against that defense. I don't know, man. But, NYG, take it back over, man. That's the offensive defense for the Detroit Lions, baby.
Yeah. I'm with you guys. It's a loaded team, man. But they do have a little bit of a challenging schedule here, if I may say. So they're gonna make them earn it. They gonna make the Lions earn it this year. Of course, you're talking about your division. Enough said there, but then you gotta face the NFC East. You gotta face the AFC North. So who both have 3 potential playoff teams in each division. And you know, the Giants and Browns they should be scrappy. At least they do got good defense. So the Lions are gonna make you earn it. The Lions are gonna make you. I mean, they're gonna make the Lions earn it. I should say. You also got a cross division matchup against the Rams. That's that first place schedule. Kicking in right there. So y'all play Kansas City too. Hey, threw them on the schedule. Yikes. But 10.5 is where they got it at, fellas. 10.5 over under. What we doing?
Man, looking at this schedule, man.
10.5.
You gotta play your division twice. Those are no gimme games, even though I think they can win both those games. But the Packers always seem to play them very well for some reason. Then you don't know what the Bears are gonna do. We'll talk about them later, as well as the Packers. Then you got the Ravens. Woo. Then Cleveland, Cincinnati, Kansas City. Kansas City's gonna be tough, but they beat Kansas City almost every time they play them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that's in Kansas City too.
yeah, that's true. Home cooking for real over there in Kansas City. Then you got Tampa Bay, who's no slouch. Minnesota, no slouch. Washington, no slouch. Philadelphia is Philadelphia Super Bowl champs. Then you got us, the New York Giants, get a little bit of a reprieve. Then the Packers. Then the Cowboys, maybe a little bit of a reprieve. The Rams, Pittsburgh, Minnesota. Good God. Yeah, this schedule is vicious. But you know what? That defense shows up. I don't see no reason why they can't win 11 games this year. I don't see no reason why. Reason because I think they can be very good in their division. Maybe 2 losses in their division. They can beat New York. They can beat Dallas. They can beat the Rams. They can beat Pittsburgh. They can beat Cleveland. They can beat Cincinnati. They've already beaten Kansas City multiple times. They can beat Tampa Bay. Yeah, I got them over, man. Coach, what you think?
I'm with you too. I think they can win 11, 12 games, to be honest with you. You know, the first 2 division games, that Green Bay game, it wouldn't surprise me if they lost that game. You know, being that it's in Green Bay to start the season, you know, 8-9, but Chicago, home opener, and I know, and your coordinators, your former offensive coordinators over there. So, you know, that's going to be a stepped up game. Baltimore's going to be tough in Baltimore. You know, so, you know, it might be a loss there. I mean, you can play with them, but, you know, it's a matter of, you know, can you handle the physicality, which I think they can, and what your defense is going to do in handling, because Baltimore's going to try and run the ball against you. You know, you can talk about Lamar, but they know what your offense can do. So to control the clock, what are you going to do? Run the ball with Derrick Henry. You know, Cleveland, you know what? It's early in the season. I get it. You know, but if who I think is that quarterback, if Shador is the quarterback, he's still a young quarterback in this league. So, you know, he's still leading an offense. They do have a good defense. I definitely will give them that in terms of Cleveland. But what are you going to do offensively? That's really what it boils down to. Cincinnati, if this defense can hold that off and get after Burrow, because they don't scare me in the run game, Cincinnati. You know, so, and they have no defense, none. You know, they are toilet paper over there. So you know, honestly,
I don't know though. What you thinking though? 10.
I'm thinking
10.5.
Oh, I think they can win 11.
Think they're going over?
Yeah, I think they can, man. I mean, seriously, you look at it. I think they can beat Kansas City is going to be tough, but I think they can beat Kansas City and Kansas City. Tampa Bay, I think they can handle Minnesota's division game. That Washington game, they want blood. You think that Dan Campbell's not going to have him up for that game? He's going to have him up. So Philly's going to be tough. New York, yeah, I get it. We don't know what we're going to be by then, but if our defense is playing like most of us Giants fans are hoping, and we get a little something out of the offense, it could be a lot tougher than most people think. But yes, you do give them Detroit the edge. So, I mean, Green Bay, same thing. Dallas, I think they're going to handle. Los Angeles, tough game. Pittsburgh, towards the end of the season, we'll know if Mr. A-Rod is who they're trying to tout him out to be with Pittsburgh, in the last two division games, especially on the road, cold weather. So
I'm gonna be honest with you. To win 11 games, 17 games scheduled, so they would have to go 11-6. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're going over because if you lose 2 games in your division, I can't see them losing more than 4 outside of the division. Baltimore, Philly, Pittsburgh, Washington will be tough. Those 4 is going to be tough. Kansas City, too. I think out of Tampa Bay, too. Don't sleep on Tampa Bay. But I think you can get I think you can get I don't think you get 4 losses out of those. 5 losses out of those, which would put them at 10-7. So I'm with you guys. I'm going over for the Detroit Lions. But hey, y'all, we got more to do. We got more to preview. And we're going to get into the next team here, which is the Minnesota Vikings. Y'all hit that like, hit that subscribe. ABSN Network, feel the vibe. Let's get it. We'll be right back.